All right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to do Chapter 1, Section 6. We're looking at tables of functions today, and we'll be dabbling in graphs in the future. We've already done order of operations, and we've already done algebraic expressions. So let's take a look at this. A lot of today is going to be vocabulary. So you're going to see a lot of input, output, domain, range type stuff. And so you want to make sure that you understand what these words are. So first of all, it says identify the domain and range of the function. All right. When we see the word input, that's the same thing as domain. And when we see the word output, that's the same thing as the range. Okay? They're like synonyms for each other. And they'll flip-flop them. So when kids see those on tests like your MCA or your ACTs or your SATs, the reason why they get them wrong is they don't know the vocabulary. So it's a vocabulary issue. So when it says to identify the domain and range, what they're asking you to do on this is they're asking you to list the numbers. And this little squiggly thing is it's kind of like a parenthesis, kind of. It shows a grouping. So all you need to do is take your input out times. So 0, 2, 4, 6. Make sure you put commas in between because they're individual numbers and it's just a list. And then for the output, for my range, 24, 27, 30, and 33. I don't want you to use parentheses. I want you to use kind of a little squiggly thingy. Okay? Just do your best. Questions on that? Waiting for a couple of you to write this something else to get it in there. Any questions on this? This is not an ordered pair, this is just a list. Alright. Let's move on. Alright. It says identify a function. So we're going to tell whether the pairing is a function and we're going to explain, right? So I'm going to tell you first of all that yes, this is a function. And you can go, well, Mrs. Nick, how do you know it's a function? Well, I'll tell you in a little bit. Okay, so just hang on. I'm just going to say it's a function. Then you go, well, what is a function? A function is just a la-di-da equation. Okay? Not every equation or every relationship is a function. Okay? It's a special type of relationship. It's kind of like, you have a lot of relationships in your life, yes? Okay? What are some of the relationships you have in your life? Parents relationship, you have a mom relationship and a dad relationship, correct? And they're very different. Okay. What other types of relationships? Friend relationship. What else? Yes. You can have an object relationship, kind of, right? Or like a dog, or a cat, or a hamster, or your pet goat, right? Yeah. They're all different relationships, right? Well, a function relationship is a type of relationship, but it's a special relationship. Okay. It's a very, like your mom. Your mom and you have like the ultimate relationship. Like, that's where you came from, right? And you can only have one biological mother, correct? Unless you're an alien. Right? Okay. But it's a special relationship. You only have one biological mother. Okay? So a function is a special type of relationship, kind of like you and your mom. Okay? So I'm going to tell you right now that that is a function. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at this one. And I'm going to tell you that this one is not a function. No. Not a function. And the reason why it's not a function is, do you see these two right here? Do you see them? Do you see how they repeat? Yeah? You can't have repeating inputs for it to be a function. Okay? Can't have the input repeat. And you'll notice that the 2 in the input is paired with 2 in the output, and it's paired with the 4 in the output. It's paired with 2 different numbers. You can't do that. So your input cannot repeat. So it's one of those relationships, and this might be the dad relationship, but it's not the mom relationship. Okay, so it's not a function. Now, let's go back up to our first one. Take a look at your input. Do any of those numbers in the input repeat? That's why it's a function. So yes, no numbers in the input repeat. Remember learning some of this last year? So we're just looking at the input. All right, let's go down to the next one. Down here. Oops. Okay. Is number 3 a function? Yes or no, and why? Yes. That is correct. So yes, this is a function. No numbers in the input repeat. Do the numbers in the output repeat? Yeah. Yes, they do, but I could care less. Doesn't matter. So the output can repeat forever. All I care about is that input. You can go, but why, Mrs. Medvick? That's kind of funny. Why is it just input? Later on when we graph, you'll see why this is not a function. It's something called, it's called the vertical line test. And I'll actually show you that later. Okay? So right now we're just looking at the input. Questions? Awesome. Let's keep going. All right, now I am really picky on making tables. And they need to be a certain way or I'll make you do them all again. Okay, I'm really picky, and the reason why is the table that we do, all the work is right in the table. It's really nice, okay? So when we do these are called H tables. We don't make the T table, we're gonna make an H table. And it says the domain of the function is y equals 3x is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So the input is 0, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to make a table for the function, and then we're going to identify the range. Okay? So this is how you make it. You make an H table. You're going to put x here, because x is our input. See, it's in the equation? Our equation goes in this bigger spot toward the top, and y comes over here. Okay, so you're going to make a big H table. You're going to do x, you're going to do the equation, and you're going to do the y. Okay? Now they give you x values. So I'm going to plug them in. So notice that my 0, 1, 2, and 3 are going to come in this column. So I'm going to plug in 0, and watch how I do this now. I'm going to go y equals 3 times 0, and I use my parentheses. I want you to use parentheses. I don't want a dot. I don't want an X. I want parentheses. Okay, we kind of did this in hands-on equations. Right? Now, this is a one-step equation, so there's not a lot of work. 3 times 0 is 0, and then I draw a line across. And then what's the next number I'm going to put in? Yes, 1, because it's in that list. Y equals 3 times 1. Notice I use my parentheses, and my answer is 3. Draw my line across. Next number is 2. Y equals 3 times 2. Multiply, I get 6. Very nice. Draw my line. Now I'm going to put in 3. Y equals 3 times 3. I get 9. Do I need to put any more numbers in? No. So I went ahead and I went and made my table. Now I need to identify the range. So you're going to write range, and you're going to do our little squigglies again. What values correspond with our range? Yes?
The y values.
Yes, the y values, the ones right here, these are my range. So if I did my H table the way I'm supposed to, all the information that you need is right on your H table. You don't have, it's not a lot of work. It's really easy. So I'm going to put 0, 3, 6, 9, and then I'm going to close it with that little squiggly thing. We call it brace sometimes. They need to be in that order. Because your domain was given to you in a certain order, your range should also be in that order. Questions? Awesome. All right, let's keep going. They give me another one. Now, this one is a two-step equation. So be careful, because kids go right ahead. They're like, oh, this is super easy. And they start going, and they're like, oh, man, this isn't very cool because I didn't show all my work. So I'm going to put my x here. Y equals 2x plus 4 here. And my y goes there.
2x, right?
Yeah. You got x, put a 2 in front of it. Just put a 2 in front of it. And the original problem. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to put in a 0. Y equals 2 times 0 plus 4. Now this is a two-step equation. So more work needs to be done. This is where kids mess up, so make sure you pay attention. Kids will do all their work in their head. I can't cut your head open and look at the work. So this is what you need to do. You need to go y equals, you're going to go 2 times 0, which is plus 4. And what's 0 plus 4? 4. This is the minimum amount of work that I need. If you just give me the first line, I won't let it go. I'll make you do it. Okay? Because if you get the answer wrong, why did you get it wrong? Did you just multiply wrong? Or did you not understand order of operations? Now I'm going to plug in 2. Y equals 2 times 2 is 4. And I get 8. Now you're just going ahead and plugging numbers in. Tough? No. Have you done this before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Am I done with the problem?
No.
Why?
You have to do the range.
I have to do the range. So I'm going to write range. It's going to be 4, 8, 10, 16, 18, and I got it from my y values. If you do your H table correctly, all your work is there, your input is there, your output is there. It's super easy. Questions? Something you don't understand, something that I can answer for you. rule. Okay, this is not bad. This is definitely doable. My input on my equations are generally x, and my output is generally y. Not always, but generally. Okay, so when you write a rule, what they're asking you for is an equation. It's just a fancy word for equation, so make sure you know what it is. So this is how you're going to do it. Your output is y. So I'm going to go y equals. And you're going to think to yourself, what do I do to the x to get the y? The x to get the y, the x to get the y, the x to get the y, the x to get the y. Okay? Now I'm kind of looking for a pattern, but I got to look at my input. What did I do to it to get my output? Okay? Yes?
Add 2.
I added 2. Let's check this out and make sure that's correct. So 0 plus 2 is 2. Yes. 1 plus 2 is 3. Yes. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 10 plus 2 is 12. Does that work? Yes. So I take x and I add 2 to it. And that is my rule, and I'm done. So you have to think about, what do I do to my input to get my output? And if you do that, you'll be fine. Okay? Let's look at this next one. Right? And I'm going to let total yarn, I'm going to let this be M, and I'm going to let cost be N. I'm just throwing it out there. Okay? So I'm going to make this N equals, because that's my output. What do I do to my input to get my output? Yes?
N equals M times 1.5.
Okay, so you say I'm going to take this and I'm going to multiply it by 1.5. That's what you're saying. Let's take a look. So 1 times 1.5 is 1.5. Is that true? Yes. 2 times 1.5, is that 3?
Yeah.
It is, okay. 3 times 1.5, is that 4.5? It is. 4 times 1.5, is that 6? It is. So multiplication is correct. Now how do I write it? Yes. Okay, so should I write it like that? Okay, that didn't work. All right, I like n equals, but I gotta write that so that, that's a, yeah.
1.5 M.
Yes, 1.5 M. And so the stuff that we did yesterday, or I should say last week, helps us with this. Because remember we talked about expressions and how we write expressions. So you're going to start to see some of the stuff we're doing right now is going to snowball into stuff later. So make sure you understand it. Questions? Great, let's move on. Main idea, right? This is really important. This is vocabulary, okay? If I say domain, you say input. Or if I say input, you say
Domain.
now. A couple other things. The independent variable, and kids get messed up on this all the time. Think input, independent, and you'll never get them mixed up, okay? Sometimes they want the la-di-da name for independent or for input, and that's independent variable. Okay, so if you think in and in, you're cool, you'll be fine. It's also or generally the x value. The range is your output, or your output is your range. It's also the dependent variable, that's kind of the la-di-da way of saying it, and it's usually the y value. Not always, like the last example, but usually. Questions on that? So that's terminology that you need to know. Okay? Alright, let's keep going. Why are certain tables functions and others not a function? Well, the domain or the inputs can't repeat. And there is something from your book that we'll be looking at together. I'm not going to tape that, but we'll look at it in just a few minutes, and you're going to see why this works and why it doesn't. Okay? So, in just a few minutes, we're going to do our assignment. Make sure that you have any questions, make sure you ask.